What is up? What is up?
Cut it
What
off.
is up? Yes,
What's
that
up?
jingle never freaking gets old, man. Never freaking gets old. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good
Oh, you know what?
afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world, and whenever you are tuning into this video. My name is James Porcelli,
I'm Brian Thomas.
and welcome to episode number 11. That's right, number 11 of the Ruthless Talk Sports Corner. Now, ladies and gentlemen, today is going to be a very special edition of what's now this new regime to the
Yeah.
platform, which is all things sports. We will be talking some Giants and Eagles. We will be talking the Yankees and them being eliminated from the postseason. We got an absolute choke job that happened in Philadelphia, both in football, baseball, and in hockey.
Oh,
in the
I
three
mean, the
freaking
whole
sports.
city. Yeah.
Philadelphia is, let's just say, they're trying to jump out the nearest
Man,
window.
how the
as of
Sixers?
right now.
What are the Sixers looking like this year?
The sixth, right? Exactly. It's not looking good in Philly, and we're going to talk all about that. Like I mentioned with the Yankees as well. We also got some picks to make as far as the MLB postseason is concerned, and then of course we got our NFL picks for week number 6. Now, before we get into all of that, Brian, we have a very special guest for this show. This is pretty much our first guest since doing these Sports Corner episodes. And for our first talking point, which is this Eagles game from last night, I know this dude is a happy camper because he was also in MetLife Stadium last night, and I'm sure he's got a lot to say as far as this game is concerned. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to introduce to you to the Ruthless Talk studio. He is known on social media as Pudgyboyz Sports Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage my man, Mike. Mike, what is up, my man? How are you, bro?
Welcome,
How are you guys doing tonight?
welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate you, of course, taking the time to join us, man. As I know, as a Giants fan, you got a lot to say. You picked the perfect time to come onto this platform after what happened last night. So we're going to get into all that. But of course, if you guys are interested in checking out Mike's content, he is available on Instagram. He also has a podcast. So I will put all of those links in the description box down below for you guys to go check out Mike and his content. Really, really good content, really good stuff. So definitely make sure you guys check him out. Again, links are in the description box down below if you are watching this on YouTube. Of course, you see our new banner down below. Make sure you guys follow us at Ruthless Talk Sports Corner. We are now available also on TikTok, both Instagram and TikTok, Ruthless_Talk. Our new TikTok page as far as all of our sports content is now available. So make sure you guys check that out when you guys can. Of course, like I mentioned with Mike's content, it's in the description down below for you guys to check it out. So without further ado, man, there's lots of stuff to get into and there's no time to waste, man. So the New York Football Giants, to where there has been so many just horrible things about New York sports as of late. We can go down the line. Of course, the New York Yankees, who just got eliminated. We'll get into them just shortly. The New York Jets, who are just so putrid, just so pathetic. And there's nothing else I can really describe about my New York Jets. They're honestly not even worth mentioning at this point for how putrid they are. And of course, the New York Mets, of course, we know how that freaking disaster turned out to be at the end of the regular season. However, for one night only, there was finally electricity. There was excitement, and there was also hope. And that's pretty much the word of the day as far as the New York Giants, and that is hope. And the New York Giants not just defeated the Eagles, they didn't just win this game. They dominated the defending Super Bowl champions. And I'm going to get to you, Mike, in just a second, as I have some words just to say about this game last night, because last night, I'm sure from a Giants fan perspective, was very special, for many reasons. Obviously, to conquer the demons, which is the Philadelphia Eagles, a division rival, a team, of course, who won the Super Bowl last year. Of course, the Saquon Barkley drama from last year. And number 2 is this quarterback who by the week, and I know that they had a really tough game last week against New Orleans, and we started to question, was the win over the Chargers in week number 4, was it really legitimate? Was it just going to be like, all right, this is just who the Giants are. They're going to be very inconsistent. But last night, man, this quarterback has proven to you that he will not shy away from the moment. This dude is confident. And not just Jackson Dart, but Cam Scatterbo, who is already becoming a fan favorite, not just for the New York Giants, but honestly in all in football. Just this team finally, and we know how bad the New York Jets have been on the other side of town. And I'm sure a lot of New York Giants fans can agree that the New York Giants have also been in that same category as far as just production on the football field. But finally, man, you finally got to see a team that was rejuvenated and just playing for each other. And the vibes were just at an all-time high, as well as this head coach. Because, guys, I have never seen a head coach be so just looking at a certain quarterback like Jackson Dart, like he's his saving grace, as he pretty much is, because we all know that Brian Daboll has kind of been on the hot seat as far as how the Giants have been, pretty much their trajectory over the past several years. So this coach knows that he wanted this kid drafted, he wanted this kid on the field, and now you're seeing firsthand why that is, man, to where this dude is pretty much the meal ticket to not get the Giants to be relevant again, but to save this coach's job. And you saw the urgency to where Russell Wilson, two plays as he subbed in for Jackson Dart, he did not hesitate to show you on the sidelines how much he wanted this kid back into this game. And it was like, I don't know if you guys watched SpongeBob as a kid or whatever, but like it's like the talent show episode to where frickin' Squidward would come onto the stage and he would just get utter silence or boos. And then SpongeBob comes onto the frickin' stage and then he gets just all these cheers and admiration. That was Jackson Dart and Russell Wilson last night. And I'll go through more stuff as far as this game is concerned. But Mike, I do want to get to you, man, just for being in the building last night, man, just your overall thoughts, how you're feeling about this Giants team and them beating the defending champs last night. What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I mean, I can't be more through the moon right now thinking about the decade of just – there's been two teams that have led the league in losses since 2015. It's the Jets and Giants. So they're on the same par. Really? They're on the same par with one another. The only difference is the Giants have a little bit – they have some history behind them. That's the only difference that holds them to a different standard. But being inside the building last night, there was a little chill in the air. And you sensed something was buzzing not because so much with the Giants, but because of how much Philly seems to be really struggling, especially on the offensive side of the football. And they could be had. And they've been showing, even though at 4-0 when they lost to Denver last week, they showed you that they could be had. And Dart missing Malik Neighbors and then Darius Slayton. I've been very hard on Darius Slayton over the last 5 years, but he still is a multi-thousand-yard receiver over his career. Missing those two pieces and for Jackson Dart to still be moving the football with pretty much ease as he's been over the last 2.5 weeks. The Charger game was kind of a mixed bag, but he did lose Malik Neighbors. And once he lost Neighbors in that Charger game, things started to kind of spiral a little bit, but they found a way to win the game. The kid just seems to have it. And I don't know what it is, but he has it. Yeah. Bouncing off linemen, pocket awareness, keeps his eyes downfield. A lot has to be said for him playing the 45 collegiate games at Ole Miss in the NFL system. And guys like that develop, and he came up and he was the most quarterback-ready guy in the draft. And a lot of people are biting themselves that they didn't take him within the top 20 picks. And hopefully, I'm hopeful. I don't want to go too crazy, but the difference with a guy like Tommy DeVito, Daniel Jones, and those kind of guys, this kid seems to have the aura about him. You saw him on the post game last night taking over the whole set with like the Richard Sherman grabs the microphone. He just seems to have that leadership ability. He's already giving it to guys like Jalen Hyatt last week for missing a block when Dart took off with a run, telling Theo Johnson to turn his head when he's supposed to be looking around. And he's not afraid to pull guys down to where a guy like Jones wouldn't do something like that. But I'm really excited about the future of this team with these last two draft classes. Shane's first two seem to be really bad, and these last two might be the two that actually save both of their jobs right now.
Yeah, no, very, very, very well said. Brian, any thoughts, man, about this game from last night?
Yeah, man. So, I mean, I saw part of it, mostly the highlights, man. But, man, I mean, hey, go back to last week. What did I say about Denver and something's wrong with that? Or not Denver, Philly.
Denver and
Something's
Philly.
going on with that offense, and Denver's going to take it. and shit. I mean, they got stomped last night, man. So shout out to the Giants, man. But I'll throw it back to you, Mike, and just obviously you're going to be you more knowledgeable just about the Giants, following them more closely. But with Neighbors out, obviously for the year, and I mean, if I try to be as indifferent as fair as I can, and I think if we're being at least hopeful and realistic, even if he when he comes back next year, I wouldn't really expect him to be back at 100% maybe until 2027. If we're being for real about it, maybe he could, but anyway. So with Dart, coming in, the last couple of weeks, and damn, yeah, I mean, he looks impressive as shit. And you following him, I also saw he had like almost 60 yards rushing, a TD. So what have you seen, maybe even through the preseason, or what, I didn't really follow him in college. What are you guys seeing up there in New York as a fan and now the receiving core that you got with obviously your number one out? How do you see that going forward the rest of the year? And the running game too, who's, this kid, came out of nowhere for me, but, you might know far more about him,
Yeah, so a guy like Cam Scott, this is why it always baffles me with the draft experts I put in quotes
right,
on ESPN and all these guys. I'm not saying people are more knowledgeable elsewhere, but these guys are just constantly getting things wrong. A guy like Cam Scatterbo, if you just follow him through Arizona State, and if you didn't know anything about him, and I just told you to watch the championship game from last season. That's all you'll need to know from Cam Scatterbo.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know from Cam Scatterbo.
Well, where did he go to school at? I'm sorry.
Arizona State.
Arizona?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And for him to fall to the fourth round because he's too slow. He doesn't run a fast 40. He doesn't cut. Right. He doesn't juke well, but he catches the ball well. He's a great receiver out of the backfield. Great blocker. Great pickup on the blitz. I mean, guys like him falling to the fourth round are what helps teams like the Giants turn things around, hopefully.
Yeah,
and it saves jobs. But the offensive line for the Giants is playing extremely well. Ever since Andrew Thomas got back, I was questionable with Thomas because he's an elite left tackle who just can't stay on the field consistently. When he's on the field, he's outstanding. 90 snaps this year, hasn't allowed one quarterback pressure, which is you're talking elite all tackle level that just can't be replicated from a lot of guys in the league. And Dart, again, the biggest things I look at more than anything else is the ability to extend the play in today's NFL, where it's not just drop back and throw it. You have to be able to extend the play, keeping his eyes downfield constantly, always looking for the open receiver. He doesn't put his head down unless he literally has to and run the football. Bouncing off, he bounces. Instead of running through, he bounces off guys in the pocket and then adjusts the line to the way that he wants them to go. He improvises well, which is outstanding. It's stuff that, as a Giants fan, we haven't seen in a really long time. And a guy with this skill set is the only thing I'm worried about is him staying healthy, because it's the sliding. He didn't do it in college either.
Yeah.
He's got to slide, and he's got to not take those hits when he doesn't have to take them.
Yeah, and I think he'll learn from that as a rookie. I mean, people kind of were on him a little bit. I mean, justifiably so, as far as being very reckless and not trying to go out there and hurt yourself, especially in a place like MetLife, to where a lot of for some odd reason, a lot of receivers and players just seem to get hurt on that freaking turf in MetLife Stadium. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I think that's a part of his game that I think that he will learn, because, like you said about, how he looks downfield and how he always extends the play. It's instincts like that, as far as no matter what sport you play, it's like you either have it or you don't, to where we've seen so many quarterbacks, whether it is the New York Jets or the New York Giants, that come into the system, you would know right away, or at least have more green flags than red flags to say, okay, there's something here. As far as Daniel Jones, that was a relationship to where, and again, you see what he's doing with the Indianapolis Colts, and good for him. But it was the relationship, and how are we going to make this kid succeed? How are we going to put this dude on the field at the right time, at the right possible time, for him to rise to success? Now, I was one of those people to say, I don't know if he should be starting right away. Let this kid understand and learn the playbook and everything. However, I did see the value in him to say, like, you know what, at some point, maybe by the end of this regular season, he should play. And the reason why I say that is because we look at other organizations like the Green Bay Packers, and we see a lot of other organizations to where a lot of these people who do have long-term success, they didn't play their rookie year, hardly even maybe their second year. And that was something to where maybe I thought the New York Giants could have taken that certain approach. But clear as day, this kid is ready. He's ready now. And it's really cool to see. Now, as far as the Philadelphia Eagles is concerned, there is some massive dysfunction going on as far as with AJ Brown, as well as with Jalen Hurts, the coach, and everything. So, Mike, I'm going to send this question over to you, my man. Like, if you were to give your honest critique about the Philadelphia Eagles of like just what is wrong with this team, because like you mentioned about the Denver game, and Brian, you called it from last week, but not only that, but even from the Rams game that they almost freaking lost if it wasn't for a blocked field goal that got returned for a touchdown. So Mike, man, just in your honest take, man, what do you feel like that is causing this toxic, I guess, vibe with this Philadelphia organization, as far as, the quarterback or whatever it is in that locker room? What do you think?
So, I mean, obviously everybody's gotten paid on this team already, so it's not a money issue. All the guys that have to get paid have gotten paid.
They've got the ring.
Yeah. They all got their money. They all got their ring. They sold their soul basically for this ring because with their cap situation, they continue to just push it back. And with these problems, they're going to start losing players because of trying to make the big splash. What they did, and they won the Super Bowl. I think most fans would take that anytime. They have major problems on the offensive line. They're not blocking the same way that they used to. Even Drew Brees came out and said the offense is really, really predictable. Mm-hmm. The coordinator, that's Petula, that they got this year, a lot of Philadelphia fans are complaining about, saying it's very vanilla. Jalen Hurts, without sounding like a giant homeboy, Jalen Hurts needs everything around him to be absolutely perfect for him to be a successful quarterback, from what I see. Okay? You saw it last night when he overthrew Devonta Smith on that play. The pocket was clean. Yeah. Every quarterback's allowed to miss throws, but he really missed them, and you can't do that when your team is struggling offensively, when these two receivers are pouting on the sideline, giving you these post-game interviews where A.J. Brown looks disgruntled, Devonta Smith looks disgruntled. The only guy who doesn't look disgruntled is Goddard because he's an easy target for Jalen Hurts. Keeps it in the middle of the seams within 10 to 15 yards. He doesn't have to go downfield with it. But if everything's not going right, and as you saw last night as a small microcosm, if Saquon Barkley's not running the football, Jalen Hurts struggles pretty much. Yeah. And if they don't have their running game going, you saw it last year when Barkley ran for 2,000. Hurts didn't even throw for 2,000 yards last year. He didn't have to, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's a matter of these guys, like everything has to go right for Jalen Hurts. And when one small hiccup happens on that offensive line, it starts to carry over. And now there's 2 or 3 hiccups. Now you have disgruntled receivers who are not finishing routes. You have Jalen Hurts who's not playing up to his level. You have Saquon Barkley who seems more focused on his documentary and more focused on a lot of things than playing football. All this stuff is coming together to where I think Philly is going to have to do a lot of soul searching, and they're still a really good team. So it's not like they're just going to fall off the face of the earth. Right. But if they continue to drop games like this, you can't lose like this to the Giants. You can lose by a field goal. You can lose by a bad turnover, or the Giants get lucky. You can't get your asses kicked like you did to the Giants last night. It's impossible without a lot of things going wrong with the team. And defensively, I don't even know if Jalen Carter was hurt, because a lot of people are saying that they just didn't want him playing on the MetLife turf last night to aggravate an injury. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But they could have used him last night clogging up that middle. They got major problems in the secondary. So, again, they sold their soul for that Super Bowl, but a lot of things are starting to come back and bite them now. Yeah, no, absolutely. Very well said. And I wanted to get both of your guys' takes about the tush push, right? That's been kind of the main talking point about the Eagles right now. Listen, I'm kind of like on both sides of the spectrum, to where a lot of people are just like, man, the NFL needs to do something about this and get rid of the tush push right now.
there's another perspective to where people are just saying, hey, well, if you don't like it, just find a way to stop it. So I'm kind of like, I don't know how to feel about it because yes, at the end of the day, it's like you never want to see as a fan, right? Even like for me as a Jets fan, just trying to watch an entertaining football game and you're watching 4 tush push plays like back to back to back to back for the Eagles to score and to get into the end zone. So Brian, I'll start with you, man. Like as far as the tush push is concerned, like how do you feel about it? Like, are you okay with it? Do you feel like the NFL needs to do something about it? Like, what do you think?
Man, that's a good question. I'm kind of 50-50 with it, if I'm being honest. Because I look at it and, I guess if people's main gripe is what, the quarterback gets the push, obviously in the back from the fullback or the running back or whoever it may be, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm looking around, and the Eagles have used it so well, right? And if the NFL is going to allow it, and I do to some degree look at it as, if you're down there at the goal line, I mean, that's essentially, your offensive line versus your defensive line and linebackers, and that fullback, running back, whatever, and who can move the ball. It's a game of inches, right? I mean, that's what it is. So, and then I look around the league and I wonder why my Baltimore Ravens or the Buffalo Bills, or any team that has that the Giants now, if Dart is, I can't even say from what I saw, a mobile quarterback, like he can move, he can run, he can, so if that's something they're going to allow, man, I mean, yeah, put your offensive line up against our defensive line and,
Yeah, the reason why.
But correct me, and I'd love to hear your guys' takes because I mean, essentially, is that what people's main gripe is that the fullback, the running back, or they'll put a lineman in there to put a tight end to push them.
Yeah. Well, the reason why is that like there was one, I think it was, I don't know if which play was it, which tush push play was it, but there was clear as day. I think it was the right guard to where the dude clearly is moving before the ball is even snapped. And I think that's why a lot of people are playing clearly,
for sure. I mean,
clearly it's a false, clearly it's a false start. So where like clearly like this tush push play is clearly like to where every single advantage is towards the Eagles to where when you see something like that to where your right guard is clearly moving before the ball snaps, that's where kind of like people have the problem with, as I know, I'm sure Giants fans have a problem with it as well as anybody.
For sure.
But Mike, man, what are your takes, man, about the tush push? Should the NFL do something about it? Are you okay with it? What are your takes with it, man?
I mean, the owners had a shot to vote it out, and they didn't vote it out last offseason. So it seems like most teams are okay with it at this point. There was only a handful of teams that voted against it. One being the Packers and a couple other teams.
Yeah,
they're showing obviously because it was an away game. They're showing each full start on the big screen in the stadium last night. I don't know how much of it they showed on Amazon.
Oh, they showed it a few times.
The second and third of the four, the right guard moves on the second one, and then both guards move on the third one before the ball snapped.
Right.
If you're gonna call it and keep it in the league, I'm fine with it, but just call it correctly. Yeah, and I'm not even sure the guys are lined up correctly on the line of scrimmage because I don't know how the NFL just bends the rules whenever they want to bend the rules. I thought all guys were supposed to be lined up according to the line of scrimmage, but they created like a V, which gives them the advantage to go up. But call the full starts. If you're going to keep it in the league, call the full starts, and they won't be able to do it anymore.
Yeah. No, that's very, very well said. Yeah. Absolutely. So honestly, because I mean, clear as day, like you mentioned, as far as like you watching it on the big screen, if you were there live at MetLife Stadium, they showed it just as more times. If you were watching this on Amazon Prime from last night, to where, I mean, I do think that, and you're 100% right, Mike, because I agree with you. If they would call it a penalty, if they would call it a false start, I don't think you would hear as much backlash as you would be hearing it as of right now, because clearly, like, you're seeing clear as day. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that it's a false start. So, like, and we talk about, like, the NFL, like, they're, with challenges and things like that. They do the same thing in baseball, to where, like, we got to try to get this call correctly. Like, what's the point of, these types of situations if you're not going to get the call right? You know what I'm saying? Or just like seeing something that's so clear as day. And, it's going to be interesting to see if they do manage to spin something maybe this offseason. I don't know. But it is again, I'm on two different sides of the spectrum with it as far as that is concerned. But it wasn't enough, because the New York Giants, whether it was on offense, defense, coaching, special teams, man, they absolutely took the Eagles to the woodshed. And people like Mike and other Giants fans have every right to be giddy. Will they make the playoffs this year? That's a far stretch. I don't know if many people were willing to go that far, but the longevity side of things, man, as far as the quarterback, right? But as far as the quarterback is concerned, man, because I did see Jackson Dart play at Ole Miss, and this kid, and that's why I was so very outspoken about this kid, to where, let this dude really set this kid up for success. But clear as day, this dude has the mindset to where he's not afraid of the moment, and he's going to go out there, and he has all the instincts of what it takes to be a successful quarterback in this league. So, Giants fans, man, y'all got the guy. I really, truly believe that. And y'all got the running back. Who would have thought that Cam Scatterbo was going to be the best running back on the field when you have Saquon Barkley in this game? Honestly, seriously.
And a receiver when he gets,
and that's the thing, bro. Malik Neighbors is not even on the field yet. And you're already seeing the productivity that's on this offense, an offense that was so inept, just as inept in the New York team across town. It's just as bad. And without their playmaker and Malik Neighbors, you can see with this quarterback and this running back pretty much, I don't want to say carry the load, but being a big helping hand with this offense. Mike, you kind of just said the perfect word. It's pretty scary, man. So where, like, when you get Malik Neighbors back, you add some more pieces to the secondary, to where, like, this defense even looks very impressive with Brian Burns, with Dexter Lawrence. You got Abdul Carter on that defense, to where this Giants team slowly but surely, to where, they may or may not make the playoffs. I don't know if I'm that confident to say that yet, as I'm sure not a lot of Giants fans are. But what I can confirmly say is that this team, the longevity side of things, they got the quarterback, they have the running back. And as far as the quarterback continuing to progress, Brian Daboll is still going to be the head coach of this team, because clearly you can see that this dude went all out for this kid to play. That's probably the reason why he was even the backup quarterback to begin with, because I'm sure a lot of maybe people were surprised, like, oh, wow, they moved him up to QB2 when they put Jameson Winston at QB3. And you can just see the mannerisms on the sidelines, how everybody, the vibes are high, the energy is high. Giants fans, of course, the energy is high. So, look, as a New York Jets fan, man, I'm very happy for the New York Giants. I really am, because I understand what watching inept football looks like for 10, 20 plus years.
I'm learning the fucking hard way.
You're just starting to learn about it, Brian. You're just starting to learn about it. But Giants fans have every right to be giddy. And last night was very magical for many different reasons. So, will this continue next week? Time will only tell as far as that's concerned. But let's get this show moving here.
Well, I do have a quick statement about the Eagles, and then a question from Mike there, man. The Eagles, for personal reasons that I will keep personal, it does hold a special place in my heart to see the Eagles kind of crumble a little bit. Hopefully this continues. But also, I'll say, I don't know what the hell's going on with the offense and whatever's happening there. But man, this year specifically, I'd say I'm throwing this is a rebuilding year, kind of for the Ravens. Man, took the top two Ravens receivers, whoever you want to call them, Andrews and Henry. I would trade that straight up for the Eagles' two receivers, Goddard and Barkley. Fucking straight up, man, and ride with that, dude. So I don't know what's happening there. But then, Mike, man, specifically that defensive side, and I wanted to ask you about Burns specifically, being, he was a Carolina guy. and I know I'm going to butcher this name, but Bobby, is it Okereke? I don't know how.
Okereke. Yeah.
Yeah, so kind of the defense of as a whole with the Giants, and then those two in particular, how they've been performing, with you following them more closely.
Yeah, Burns is playing out of this world.
Nice.
He took it. The Giants just took advantage of a Carolina team that didn't want to pay him. Brian Burns is one of the more elite edge rushers in football when it comes to pass rush win rate. He's constantly beating his guy, getting to the quarterback. This season, it looks like he's kind of put it all together. It keeps playing like this. He'll be in Defensive Player of the Year kind of contention.
That good. So shit. Okay.
Shane Bowen is still a big problem of mine. I don't think for his system, which is real vanilla, real plain, there's really no exotic stuff. There's no exotic blitz. He's not aggressive. I don't know if he's the right coordinator for these specific group of players. I would have loved to see it. I would have loved to have Wink Martindale on this staff, a guy who constantly puts pressure on the quarterback. And when you have these four guys lined up on the line, you don't even need to be that aggressive because you've got these guys that could win right at the line of scrimmage. And I just don't understand how Shane Bowen's not dialing up these plays to get constant pressure on the quarterback. It's usually because a guy like Burns wins his one-on-one matchup, or Lawrence stuffs the middle, or Carter gets around his guy. But it's not like Bowen's doing anything crazy to get extra pressure on the quarterback. I don't know if he's the right guy for this defense.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent on that defense, man.
Yeah, like James said, man. Even I was probably even more critical of the Giants' decision to put him in there. But hey, through 2 games, man. I mean, he's pretty impressive, man. So. Yeah, hopefully you got your quarterback there for, a decade or more.
I think they do. I really do. I really think they do.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like I said, mentioning the defense again, like you have guys that change the entire attitude as far as like just the people around you. You know what I'm saying? Like the guys that bring a certain vibe and energy, like we mentioned about Cam Scatterfield.
Ray Lewis, baby.
It's infectious. It's very infectious, and even Giants fans, I'm sure, feel that, to where you haven't really felt that in a very, very long time. And that's something that the Jets need to still freaking search as far as that is concerned as well. So yeah, man, I'm happy for Giants fans. I'm happy for Mike, of course. So there's no doubt that where maybe if the New York Giants make the postseason or not, I mean, if they keep playing like they did last night, I mean, there's no reason why they can't be at least in the discussion, at least be playing 500 ball. I mean, we'll soon find out.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm still weary about playoff contention. That game last week is going to bite us in the ass. Yeah, probably when it comes to the end of the season, when the schedule kind of lightens up a little bit, but. It's not like next week I'd still pick Denver to beat us. I'd still pick Philly to get revenge on us in 2 weeks. So it's not like we're going to start going on this big streak. But one thing that the Giants have proved now is that they can step on the field with the likes of a Philadelphia or the likes of a Los Angeles and actually be competitive. There's really no more waiting for Sunday to come just to watch them get blown out every Sunday. You've seen that they could compete. And that's the hope going forward, like with the any given Sunday kind of statement.
Yeah. And last thing too, and this is about the head coach, is I know we've kind of maybe gone over a half hour into the show already.
I do have one more question for him too, man. Sorry, I'll make it really quick.
Listen, man. I'm having a ball, so sometime in 30 minutes it's gonna feel like already 60. But Mike, I had another question as far as this head coach Brian Daboll. Like I mentioned about his mannerisms on the sidelines, you can see that he wanted nothing to do with Russell Wilson already 2 plays in, and he's already trying to check on Jackson Dart in the concussion protocol freaking tent or whatever. So as far as you see the production that Jackson Dart is playing, and like you mentioned, like him having that pretty much the vibe and the confidence and having the it factor, something that you can't teach. And this is a dude that's clear as day. It was fighting for him to be on the field. So do you feel like do you feel like the trajectory as far as Brian Daboll being on the hot seat, do you feel like that's gone into a 180? Do you feel like that he's maybe still on the hot seat? How do you feel about your head coach right now?
Daboll's got to finish off this season, and Jackson Dart has to look like we're going into 2026 as if he's the answer at quarterback. It can't be something where we're questioning it, because there's still 11 games to go, 12 games to go, something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So we can't go into the offseason saying, I don't know about Jackson Dart, but give him another offseason with Dable, give him another offseason with this guy. We've seen those two don't have to be attached at the hip. There's been multiple instances where quarterbacks were drafted, and then after their first year, their coach was gone, and they still succeeded. Guys like Goff and other guys, like it's been done. So these two don't have to be attached at the hip. Brian Dable's pretty much showing you that he pushed all his chips in at the poker table. Going into the tent, I've never seen that before.
Me neither.
He looked like looked like his son was in the tent.
He's crazy.
And as a coach,
man, I need to check that out. I missed that.
Dude, Brian, it's hilarious. It's like I don't blame him for feeling this way.
I was like, why was Russell Wilson 0 for 2? Like, why would they take him out? For what reason?
Right. You know? It's like, dude, I don't even blame him. That's the funny thing, because he knows that his like for the past year and a half, like his job is on the line, and he knows that this kid is the meal ticket to keep his job. So I don't blame him at all. But it's just funny, just in watching it live, it was just hilarious.
Yeah. No, and you saw Scadaboo go in the tent, and you saw I don't even know if Dable sent Scadaboo in there, like, because Dable's not supposed to be in that tent. It's against NFL rules. And then you saw Dable yelling at the team physician to hurry the hell up So I mean, Dable saw something in this kid, and it's out there in the open that he was all in on Jackson Dart going into this past draft. So he saw something in this kid to say he can mold him into the quarterback he specifically wants. So whether he started week 1, week 5, week 10, this kid's going to be either saving his job or not. But as of right now, this very moment, it's hard to say that Brian Dable needs to be let go, but that could all change in the next 5-6 weeks. You never know.
Absolutely. So,
I do have one more quick question, for Mike there, specifically about Dart. Is he? Would you say he's more of a, especially with his running game, aspect of being a quarterback? Is he more of a? And I hate to make comparisons, I really do, but is he more of an Allen type, as far as his running and how, because he is a bigger guy, right? A bigger quarterback, or am I wrong about that?
No, he's got a big frame on him. I see him. Yeah. I see like a Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield type kind of guy. Like he could run, he can make a move. He can make a move on a linebacker, like you saw last night on that first touchdown, where he just kind of gave him the bang bang like that. That was the difference, like with him and Jones. Jones is a guy who could run, but he's a guy who runs straight. There's really no zigzag. Dart's a guy that's gonna possibly juke you out of your shoes for a little bit, but he's not. He could sling it as much as he could run it, but he's they're utilizing him in both ways, which is
hey, 2-0. I mean, he's looked really good, man. Absolutely.
2-0 as a starting quarterback in both teams, beating both the Chargers and the
Philadelphia
Eagles.
Teams, I mean,
that's what I mean.
Just talked about it. Super Bowl contenders, I think, this year are in the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, Mike and other Giants fans definitely have a right to be giddy. So where this takes them, we'll soon find out late as the season goes along. But let's get into some baseball. We're going to get into our NFL picks later on in the show, but now we're going to switch gears over to baseball and still, talking about Philadelphia, because Philadelphia wasn't just the Eagles last night, but then you got the baseball side of things, to where the Philadelphia Eagles got eliminated from the postseason in the most just devastating way possible, to where they lose in extra innings. Andy Page hits a ground ball back to, I'm forgetting the pitcher's name. I think Carrigan, I believe, is his last name. But the ball's hit straight back to him. The ball, he bobbles it. All this kid's got to do is just find the ball, adjust, and still he had plenty of time to make it out at first base. Instead, the kid panics and he air mails it over JT's head, which allows the run to score, and it allows the Dodgers to win this game. And, listen, I know a lot of, I'm sure, Philly fans, if they haven't already, are already on this kid like white on rice. And I don't blame them, honestly, because I would and for me personally, like, I try to put myself in somebody else's shoes, to where, like, listen, I know what it feels like to be devastated and to see your team lose in such devastating fashion. Like, I get it. But I don't know, man, just for this kid to be on all of the headlines, and he's going to be on all the headlines because it's the biggest talking point of the game, and it's a situation to where it's so bad. It's like it's a car crash to where it's so devastating you can't look away. You know what I mean? But you also look at this Philadelphia Phillies offense to where they were awful. I mean, you talk about Kyle Schwarber, like not good enough. I think he was 0 for 5 in one of these games in the series. Trey Turner did not show up. You know, people like Bryce Harper just last night did not show up. He was 0 for 4. And I think the bigger picture is just this kid and the mistake that he made. Because, you know, we talk about, you know, the moment and being just like a deer in the headlights and just panic city. But this offense, man, to where they were riding on all cylinders. And I saw it firsthand when they swept the New York Mets. I think it was the later portion of this regular season. Guys like Harrison Bader, to where there's always a former Met that just comes in and just absolutely just becomes like their Achilles heel. I don't know what it is. But guys like Harrison Bader that added such a spark to that to that offense. And you just had a feeling that, and I even said this just last episode, to where if the Philadelphia Phillies, because they had the home field advantage, because they do have the star power, they do have the talent on offense, even their pitching from guys like from Sanchez and Ranger Suarez, and all of these guys, you know, of course, Aaron Nola. I mean, I know that they were missing Zach Wheeler, of course, but still all around such a talented team. And it sucks from a Philadelphia fan's perspective to where they just flat out beat themselves. Like, I don't even think that the Dodgers were even a better team, honestly. I think that there were a lot of situations where even game 3, to where thanks to a Freddie Freeman scoop at first base, to where that ball could have easily been overthrown. That could have changed the whole complexion of that game as well. But just so many missed opportunities. And we'll talk about the Yankees as far as missed opportunities as well. But Mike, man, I'll start with you, man. You know, of course, I know you didn't watch most of the game because you were at the Giants game last night, but just your overall takeaways on what happened last night, how the Dodgers won this game, and just the Philadelphia Phillies and this choke job that happened. What are your thoughts?
I mean, the Dodgers they've been there, done that already, so they know how to win. They know how to win these tight games. You're never going to really see them make those kind of mistakes. Game 1, you go back to game 1 when I think Philly's up 3-1 or 3-0 throughout the majority of the game.
Yeah.
And then they kind of stuck themselves on 3 runs the entire game. And here comes the Dodgers, 7th inning, 8th inning, and then Hernandez finally gets the big hit against Strom, and then that was pretty much it for that game. Game 2 in Philly, or whatever, was the one that Freeman made the scoop to end it, where Philly was making that comeback in the 9th inning.
Yeah, that was game 2, actually. Game 2 when they lost 4-3. That was game 2 back in Philly. Yeah.
And then game 3, the bats finally wake up, and you see like what Philly's capable of, and these Schwarber's hitting balls out of the stadium.
Right.
And then it's like, you know, once these guys, it's kind of the MO for what the Phillies have been over the last few postseasons, where sort of like the Yankees, they slug themselves throughout the regular season against a lot of bad pitching. And then once the postseason starts, that happened with the Mets last year, much to my excitement. Once they get to the postseason, the bats just kind of go quiet and they don't put up those 8 to 10 runs multiple games in a row. And that it just bites them right in the ass every single postseason.
Yeah, no, and I think that's what also makes the Dodgers such a really good team as well. I mean, yes, they got all the talent in the world with guys like, of course, Betts and Ohtani and Freddie Freeman and all of these guys, but you can see to where, like, you know, we mentioned just the first game of this series to where you're down 3-0, your back's already up against the wall, of course, not having the home field advantage, and you can see the adjustments, the in-game adjustments that this team makes. And I give Dave Roberts a lot of credit for how good of a manager this dude is to allow these guys to be ready and to make those adjustments in mid-game, to where you didn't see it from the New York Mets. You didn't really see this much from the New York Yankees for most of the time as well this season. It's teams like the Dodgers to where they have so much talent, but not only they talented, but they know how to adjust mid-game. And I think that's what makes this team very, very dangerous, unlike a lot of teams, to where when they're already down 3, 4, however many runs at the very start, it's easy, especially in postseason play, to just fold like a cheap tent, but that's not what the Dodgers do. And I do give credit to Dave Roberts as far as that is concerned. But Brian, again, I don't know how much you watched the game from last night, but just your overall thoughts on the choke job that transpired.
Yeah, so I did wind up falling asleep. It was probably like the 8th inning when I fell asleep, so I didn't see the end, man. But the Phillies overall, man. I mean, you're right. You just said, there's a lot of similarities I could make, with the New York Yankees, or even a lot, throughout the history with the football Baltimore Ravens, man. But it's unfortunate. Obviously it's sports, and there's always going to be a winner and a loser, and a moment or maybe a couple moments that make the heroes or the goats, or not the goats, oh gosh, I don't know the one that chokes, whatever you want to throw out.
Whatever terminology, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so for a guy like him, man, maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong too. Orion
Kerrigan, I believe that's his name.
Yeah, something to that nature. I mean, he's a pretty damn good reliever, and has a good track record over the last 2-3 years, and to just just have a mental error like that, it just something like that sucks, man. I mean, it really does. So, but it's kind of like that's playoff baseball. That's the fundamentals of baseball. I can point to another play that I don't even think it led to a run, but earlier in the game, Alec Bohm, just whiffed on a routine grounder, that would have got him out. I think they did wind up, the very next batter, but it's just those, the things that, like, Philly in particular right now, have a lot of guys who, I mean, they're great baseball players. Alec Bohm, I think, is a really, really good baseball player, not the great defensively. And then you got like guys like Schwarber, who, I mean, you'd rather not have him in the outfield, and things of that nature. So, yeah, it's one of those things where, again, the breaks go the Dodgers' way. And you said it too, James, like the Dodgers, we talk about the Ohtanis and the Freddie Freemans and the Mookie Betts, and sure, all that's important. And I'll tie it into the Yankees here when we get into them. But as much as it is them, it's also the Tommy Edmonds or, the Kike Hernandez. I'm not sure if he's on the Dodgers now.
Teoscar Hernandez. That dude.
I know Kike Hernandez in years past.
Of course.
That,
right. Absolutely.
That are just going to make that defensive play, at the exact right moment, or come up with that key hit. That's who keeps you advancing in the playoffs. That's who wins you World Series. As much as you need, the Ohtanis and the Aaron Judges of the world to show up as well.
Yeah.
And so for the Phillies in particular, I don't know the contract status of most people, but I mean, Wheeler. I'll take Wheeler and Nola just completely out of the equation, but if you're able to keep Suarez and Sanchez, Painter, I don't know when he's going to be maybe ready, if he's ever going to be ready. And then right now, who was another guy on their starting staff? Because I feel like there's another guy I'm forgetting.
Let's see, Ranger Suarez, Christopher,
Sanchez,
Suarez, Sanchez. They got Aaron Nola, Taijuan Walker, I believe, is in pitcher on their roster, and a few other guys. And I'm
maybe I'm wrong about that then. But just, I mean, Suarez and Sanchez. I mean, you saw what Sanchez did last night. I mean, that's maybe even that. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I would say he's at least in the conversation for a Cy Young this year. Not perennial going forward. And Suarez is a damn good lefty too, man. So, I think they'll be okay, but there's older bats that are a liability in the outfield, and sure, they can hit home runs and strike out and walk. but there's only so many people that can DH, man.
Yeah, no, and I'm pretty sure that the Phillies also have one of the oldest active rosters in baseball.
Yeah,
so
probably.
This is a team again that has really just put all their chips into one basket to take all of these guys like Kyle Schwarber, like Nick Castellanos, Bryce Harper, guys that are not really getting any younger, and it sucks to where you have
Harper's there for the long.
Yeah, so Harper, with the contract that he has, and I think Kyle Schwarber, I think he's going. I don't know what his contract status is, but I heard something about that he might be a notable free agent at some point. I don't know if it's this year or next year. Again, I don't know what the contract status.
I think it might be this year. I think you're right.
This year,
yeah.
It is this year. Okay, so that's what I figured.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So who knows, man? As far as where all of these dudes go, but like I said, listen, as a fellow New Yorker, I mean, I can't say I feel bad for y'all
ain't Philadelphia. Mad. Yeah. I mean, I ain't mad about it.
I'm not mad at either. Unless it's to put the cherry on top, the Flyers, they just lost their freaking their home opener freaking that same night. You had three Philadelphia teams, the Flyers, the Eagles, and the Philadelphia Phillies all lose in one freaking day, man. October 9th, 2025 will be a day in Philadelphia sports that I'm sure most of them are never going to forget at all. But let's get into the New York Yankees, man. This is our last big topic before we get into some picks both for baseball and for football.
Mike, are you a Yankee or a Met fan? What?
I'm a Mets fan.
Okay.
Oh, he is a Mets fan. Okay, nice. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay. I don't know if you were said Yankees fan. I don't know. I might have to boot you off this freaking studio. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But I'm
gonna go in on them a little bit.
Yeah. Man. So for the New York Yankees now, of course, if you guys have seen the Ruthless Talk Sports Corner on Instagram and TikTok, I've definitely been very outspoken about the New York Yankees. It has been the one series, the one team that I have been able to follow very, very closely. Talking about their Boston series and just how I knew going into the Boston series, I knew that they were the better team. I knew they had more offensive star power, as well as just, the overall, just the team itself. I just thought they were more talented. And it baffled me with the whole, you didn't put Jazz Chisholm in the lineup for game 1 against Boston. Then you put him and Ben Rice in that offense or in that lineup, and you see how freaking game 2 and game 3 turned out. But then you go over to this Toronto series, and listen, I'll be firsthand to admit to where I really thought the Yankees were going to win this series. At least I thought that they were going to send it back to game 5 in Toronto, to where you had a bullpen game. The Toronto Blue Jays had a bullpen game for game 4. So you pretty much had everything set up perfectly if you're the New York Yankees with Cam Schlittler on the mound. We saw what he did and how dominant he was in the Boston series, and he still pitched very well. Was he dominant from the Boston series? No, but he did everything to win you this game. And same thing like we just said about Philadelphia, their offense was a no-show. If your name is not Aaron Judge, if you look at his numbers and of course, the overall production that he put in offensively, Aaron Judge did his part. And I thought Aaron Judge had a really good postseason, but guys like Trent Grisham didn't perform well enough. Guys like Cody Bellinger was not good enough. Guys like Giancarlo Stanton, who usually performs really well in the postseason, was just not good enough. And that's just what it comes down to. Carlos Rodon, of course, did not really perform very well in this postseason either. The bullpen, of course, was very suspect with people like Luke Weaver and others. But man, I also got to tip my cap to the Toronto Blue Jays, man, because this is the same team, of course, with some different pieces here and there, but this is pretty much the same team that was dead last in the American League East. And now you're seeing, again, guys like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who is like, the dude's patting like an 800 so far in this postseason. It's fucking unbelievable.
Vladdy,
I mean, we all knew that this dude was talented, but my God, man, from game 1, this dude has been just hitting the cover off the ball completely. Just, what does Pedro Martinez say? Calling freaking Yankee fans their daddy or whatever the hell. Like the freaking Vladimir Guerrero freaking showed you just how
pitchers.
Yeah, it's just like it was really just eye-opening to watch. And they won 94 games this year and they won the American League East, man. But you still question teams like Toronto, and I also still question about Milwaukee, and we'll get into them as far as our picks, is how are you going to translate that to postseason play? And that's what I'm thinking, like, as the Yankees can continue their momentum with their offense, with guys like Ben Rice, who was freaking crushing the baseball. Guys like Jazz Chisholm, who was a major X factor in that offense, and the way that Aaron Judge was performing in the postseason, I really believe that the New York Yankees could have, with Max Fried, and Max Fried, of course, was abysmal in freaking Toronto, but performed really well in Boston. If everybody just did their part with how good Aaron Judge was in this postseason, because we kept talking about, is Aaron Judge, is he good enough in the postseason, right? Like, is he good enough to take the Yankees back to the postseason? Like, he's not good enough in the postseason. He doesn't deliver in the clutch. He can't do this and he can't do that. Well, freaking, what was it, game 3? He freaking proved everybody wrong with that 3-run home run that he hit. And of course, again, if you look at his stats, you'll know how good of a postseason he did have. But Toronto, man, they're a fun team to watch. Vladimir Guerrero is really fun to watch right now. And, we'll get into our picks later, man. But as of right now, I'm very impressed with what I saw with Toronto. And I think you can make an argument to where they could win it all this year for how talented this team is in every aspect. But Mike, I'll start with you, man, just as far as the New York Yankees and this series with Toronto, as well as this entire playoffs, man. What are your thoughts as far as, just overall performance, the Toronto Blue Jays, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Aaron Judge's postseason, his postseason numbers and his productivity on the field, man? What do you think?
So, going from game to game, just started with the Red Sox series. I thought the Yankees were very lucky to get out of the Boston series after losing the game to Crochet. And then Boston pretty much just handing over games 2 and 3 to the Yankees with mental mistakes and dropped fly ball. Duran's fly ball into left field that should have been caught. And then the center fielder. And then there was a play, I think, in the 8th inning where they had the bases loaded and the Yankees were kind of melting down, and then the ball got past Rice at first, and the guy never broke for home. That could have gave them the lead at some point. They were just making error after error. But, again, Yankees took advantage of it, and so you move on to the next round where, game 1, Judge does come up in the big spot, which I thought would have the Yankees down 2-1. They were finally getting to Gausman. He comes up, bases loaded, no outs, and you're thinking right there, this is the spot Aaron Judge clears the bases and puts the stamp on this series and says, no, this is my series, not you, Vlad, not you, anybody. And who knows how the game turns out at that point. But he goes down swinging in probably his worst at-bat of the entire postseason. And then Toronto goes on to win that game. They hammer Fried to get up to 2-0. And then they get to game 3 where they still fell down 6-1. It's not like they plummeted. It's not like they pummeled the Blue Jays early on in the game. They fell down 6-1 early. Rodon cannot be trusted in a big game. I don't care how many wins he has in the regular season. Yeah. And Yankee fans constantly say it. Even it's like, I don't care if he has 20 wins. This guy in a big spot, he did it against Boston too. This guy in a big spot is a liability. And, Judge saved them in game 3. And then game 4, like they even say on the broadcast, when you start a bullpen game, all it takes is one guy to not be on his game, and it screws up your entire bullpen game. Everybody was on their game. Nobody had a big hit in that series. Nobody had a big hit in game 4 for the Yankees. They had multiple chances. Wells, Chisholm, Grisham disappeared. Everybody disappeared but Judge, it seemed like.
Really,
Everybody disappeared but Judge. And, the one thing I'll say about Judge, as great as a postseason as he had, and he's the best player I've ever seen in my lifetime. So I'm not hating on guys like Aaron Judge and the Yankees just because I'm a Mets fan. I would have wanted to see Judge take over the series the way Vladdy took over the series for the Blue Jays, where it was 3 home runs, 10 RBIs instead of Judge's 1 home run, 7 RBIs. I wanted to see from game 1, Judge just put the stamp. And like I said, in game 1, when the bases were loaded, that was the shot. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. did it right away in his first at-bat, bomb to left field in Toronto. And that's what I wanted to see, that from Judge. But unfortunately, the guy can't do everything. They put these sluggers around him that'll mash 30 in the regular season, but when the postseason starts, people got to shrink, and then they're not getting the pitching. The bullpen stinks. Everybody's blaming Boone. I think that blaming Boone is a little too much now. I don't think a lot of it is Boone's fault. But, the players got to perform. But, game to game, I think the Yankees were just outplayed, and people just got to give the Blue Jays a little more credit than they're giving them.
I agree. Yeah. And Brian, I'll get to you in just a second.
Yeah,
I even
yeah,
said this in a video, and Mike, I'm sure you came across it, to where, the Yankees, as far as like previous Yankees teams, to where, like, as far as, runs scored and everything like that, they always had to rely on the long ball. They always had to rely on the home run ball. But what I saw in the Boston series, to where, like, you saw the diving stop that Chaz Chisholm made, right? You saw like a lot of things as far as defensively. Anthony Volpe was playing a much better defense towards the end of the regular season, and even some moments in the postseason, to where they were doing a lot more of the little things correctly. And that's where I thought, to where, like, what, this is something that the New York Yankees have never really shown us in quite some time. And when you manufacture Aaron Judge, and for how well he performed in the postseason, because you're 100% right. Like, Vladimir Guerrero was as good as a postseason Aaron Judge played. Vladimir Guerrero was the best player in the series, and it sucks because when you do have to rely on the long ball, as far as like those big, the home runs, the 3-run home runs that Vladimir Guerrero did produce, especially in the first two games, they never had that. They never really truly had that, even though at times they showed, the little things, doing well with the little things. But as far as those big moments, those big clutch moments for guys like, Cody Bellinger, guys like Trent Grisham, who I thought has had a really decent season overall in the regular season, but in this postseason, man, he just was god awful. Offensively, he was just god awful. But Brian, what are your takes, man, as far as this Yankee series, the Toronto Blue Jays, everything, man? What are your thoughts?
Oh man, I hope I don't really take a long time, man, because I'll go in on them for a second. First, I do want to start with like major shout out to the Toronto Blue Jays, man, because I mean, I don't know how many people are talking about it, but if you go back to the beginning of the year, man, I mean, we were, shit, were they going to sign Vladdy? And, they're like, a lot of shit was in disarray. They lost out on free agency for people, So to see them come, all the way back here, fucking kudos, man. Shout out to all of them, man. Oh gosh, the New York Yankees, man. First of all, I mean, I'm even as a Yankee fan, man. I'm happy they lost this series. I'm glad to see the Toronto Blue Jays moving on. And to start, I'll do you guys one better, man. When we talk about Judge, and as great as he is, and yes, he did have a very good postseason. It hurts my heart to say this, man, but the greatest postseason hitter in particular I have ever seen. I mean, you talk about fucking clutch. David Ortiz, man. Like, that's who Aaron Judge has to be for the New York Yankees, in the big moments, against the rival, against, and I mean, he shows flashes, here and there. And I'm not, again, he did his thing this postseason. But even as a Yankee fan, man, I mean, those years when Ortiz was with the Sox, man, it's like the one guy. I mean, I don't care if it was Pedroia or Ramirez, or it didn't matter. The one guy I dreaded, man, is don't have Ortiz come up in this. And I don't know that Judge is there yet, especially in the postseason. Maybe he gets there, and is working on that. But even as great as he is, and as much as a Yankee fan as I am, I don't think he's there yet in the postseason specifically. And again, yes, being a part of the New York Yankees and just being in New York, I mean, you know too, as Mets fans, the media, like, that's all part of it too, man. It adds to it. So, but yeah, the Yankees overall, man, like, going into next year, I'll even start with this year, man. Like, I feel like, and I'm also, I'm an Orioles fan as well, man. And I feel like last offseason, the free agency market, people out there or trade, people that were available. I mean, there was some availability, man. And I'm thinking in particular, well, I know one, Josh Naylor, who now we see in Seattle. I mean, that was a guy I was looking for, maybe the Yankees or the Orioles to maybe go after them. instead the Yankees go after Goldschmidt, who's, had a decent year, no shade or whatever. But again, I mean, what is that? I think he's maybe 36-ish or so, that 34, somewhere in that range. Giancarlo Stanton, man, I mean, look, the Yankees are going to be stuck with him until he retires with that contract and whatnot. And we all know what he is too. I mean, he's not going to play. I mean, I don't know how many games he played this year, but I mean, I'd venture to say you'll never see him play over 120, 130 games at best. Maybe that's, if on a really, really good year, then you get guys like, they signed Bellinger, who I don't know. I mean, again, he had an okay year. He's decent. Again, had a really, really good rookie year, and then since then, it's kind of been all over the place. But at the time, again, I was looking at a guy like Tucker in Chicago, who very similar qualities, but a level up, so to speak. But they got Bellinger and Grisham. You had mentioned Grisham. I've followed Grisham for a while when he was out in San Diego, and while he had a really great offensive year, but I have no clue where those 34 home runs or however many he hit came from. Because historically, he's been a pretty damn good defensive player that just never found that hit tool, man. Could never hit. So to see what he did in the postseason, that didn't shock me at all. And he's another relatively older guy. And I'm forgetting Rodon specifically, James. We had, in one of our podcasts, I had mentioned. I can't remember if it was it was Rodon's first or second start. I can't remember which it was. Where he came out and he threw like 6 straight balls and they took him right out, and I was like, nah, something ain't right, man. He's, that's, I don't know what it is there, but something he's not going to be right. So like your point to what Mike said, I guess, we're, banking on Rodon where, I mean, you can't trust his health going forward. It hasn't been a good, I don't know his career postseason stats, but hasn't been a very good postseason pitcher. Max Fried, he had another, great year. In my opinion, I think overperformed most people's expectations. So I don't know what that means going forward. I'll say this last, I guess, negative thing, and then I'll get to some positives. But I think it's time for Boone to go, man. I really do. I mean, he's been a good manager, no doubt, and some great years. Got a World Series, all that, and kudos. But as I'm watching, and he's still, he probably is the league leader, if not up there, as with ejections. And at this point, it's. There's people that can use it wisely, and at times maybe years previous he has, no doubt. But I just think it's kind of it's time to move on. Maybe I don't know what the answer or who the answer might be, but if next year, depending on what happens, I think if they don't go at least deep in the meaning at least to the end. I mean, it might even have to say World Series next year. If they don't make
the Mets got rid of most of their coaching staff. So if you guys want to pick up one of those guys, maybe Eric Chavez, Jeremy Hefner, the smart answer is no. But they're out there, they're available, I guess.
Yeah.
But
and then on the player side of things, look, man. I mean, I think. Ben Rice, I think is a positive for the future. At first base, I don't think he's going to be a good fit at catcher per se. First base DH type. Mm-hmm. Austin Wells, I think is going to, especially with this type of how the game is played these days, I think he's going to be fine as a catcher. Although I would say they would need an upgrade defensively, maybe for late in the games. Jazz Chisholm, my man, God, he's going to be one of those players, man. Love him, and he's going to break your heart. Because, and we saw it in the series, man, he can make some great, amazing defensive plays at exactly the right moments, and then shit the bed at exactly the wrong moments, man. And it's going to be one of those things where you got to take the good with the bad. And I'm going to ride with him, man. I like him. I think the good, and hopefully he does improve. I think the good is going to outweigh the bad. Schlittler, man, bro. That guy. Hey, it looked dominant. Even like you said, James. Not quite as good in that second start, but he didn't have to be. That was fun. That was for a second. What do you? I think 21 second major league start in the postseason ALCS, bro. That's all I needed to see. Yeah. But I will say, going into next year, man, don't ride this guy. Considering how pitching is these days, where even the aces, if they're going 180, that's good. So, 100 innings, maybe 120 if you're pushing it. Other than that, it is what it is. But don't fucking ruin this guy, man, because it brings back memories of Jabba Chamberlain, man. Jabba fucking Chamberlain. And they, the bullpen, the starter, and they fucked with the guy so much and got in his head so much, man. So hopefully that doesn't happen. And we'll see where next year goes, but they do have some good Volpe. I'm going to ride with Volpe. I think he's going to be good, man. I'm cool with that. So, there's some definitely positives, man, but also they're an old team getting older. That's going to be injured. I do not trust Rodon going into next year, or Max Fried. Dollars to no donuts. He ain't going to go 18-6 next year, and whatever. So we'll see. Yeah. Sorry if I ranted, man, but yeah, man, I'd love to hear what y'all said.
I think the Yankees definitely. I think for next year, as far as their rotation, you got Garrett Cole that's going to be coming back next year. You do have this kid in Cam Schlittler. Carlos Rodon. I think we all know what Carlos Rodon is. He's a guy in the back of the rotation. He's a back rotation guy that can be reliable. From what I see from Carlos Rodon, he's either really good, he's either really dependable, or he's just god awful. There's really no honestly in between. I thought he still did enough as far as his start in Boston for the Yankees to still win the game. But in Toronto, man, there's no excuse, man. He was absolutely awful. And as far as Aaron Boone is concerned, actually, Mike, I'm going to send this question over to you. Do you think that the New York Yankees do need to move on as far as their manager and fire Aaron Boone? Do you think Aaron Boone should stay? What are your takes on that?
Aaron Boone fits exactly what the Yankees want, right? The analytical guy who's lockstep with everything that they say when it comes to analytics. I know the Yankees are huge with the analytics. And Boone just kind of fits right into Cashman and his cronies and whatever they want to do. Yes. Cashman has a lifetime contract, it appears. So asking Cashman to be fired, I just don't think it's ever going to happen. I think Hal's perfectly content. Yeah. He gets them in the postseason every year. They make their money every year. So that's pretty much all Hal really needs to see. I don't think Boone needs to go. I'd be from the outside looking in, obviously. I think Boone's fine as a manager. I think he's great with the players. Defends the players a lot, much to a lot of demise. A lot of people want to see him, get into the players sometimes, but sometimes we're not privy to a lot of that information, what goes on in the locker rooms. But some of the decisions, the Boston start with Rodon was good. Bringing him back out in that 6th or 7th, and then he walked the first 2 guys. I mean, that probably could have been a little, but all managers make the typical mistakes. I mean, these are the arguments every team has with their manager. They always make mistakes.
Yeah.
I think Boone's okay. And with the perennial lockout coming in 2027, there's really no reason to hit the reset button for the Yankees right now with Boone and Cashman still under contract next year. So to bring in a whole new regime, and then with most likely they're coming a lockout in 27, you might as well just stick around with these guys for another year.
Yeah. And I think it's really going to take the New York Yankees to kind of almost maybe not rock bottom necessarily, but to completely for them to miss the postseason, maybe play 500 baseball, for maybe, Steinbrenner and all these guys to wake up and say like, all right, maybe it is time to go in a different direction. But Mike, you kind of hit the nail on the head. As long as this organization is still making the postseason, and as long as they're still relevant, because I think that that's really the main thing here, is that I think that, Hal Steinbrenner and Cashman and all of these people in the front office, they're very content with they're still relevant. They still go to the postseason, everything that Mike said. And I think that they are almost timid to where, okay, well, if I do fire Brian Cashman, if I do fire from Aaron Boone, I'm pretty much starting with a brand new system. And now you're afraid to where the New York Yankees are not going to perform and live up to expectations to where they're one of the biggest, largest franchises in the world of sports. And you bring that team to where you bring in a new system and they don't perform and they don't put the best product on the field. And I think that that's where Steinbrenner is kind of like very hesitant. But like you said also, Mike, they're very, very content as well. So I don't think Boone is going to go anywhere either. As far as analytics is concerned, the Max Fried game in Game 1 against Boston, and I'll kind of just end it with this because I do want to get to our picks in just a little bit. Game 1 against Boston, to where all that controversy to where, why did Aaron Boone take him out of the game or take Max Fried out of the game? You put in Luke Weaver, that's stiff for him to just freaking ruin everything, and here's what I'll say, right? Because I said this again in a video, to where it's different because of course, with the whole, with going over 100 pitch. Sometimes, man, sometimes you just got to throw away the analytics and you just got to go with your best freaking player that was Max Fried in that night, honestly, because you cannot trust Luke Weaver or whatever that freaking bullpen is freaking mustered.
Devin Williams has been up and down.
Right, absolutely. Like Devin Williams has been very inconsistent. People like Cruz, of course, we mentioned already, Luke Weaver already, to where if you were going to have at least Luke Weaver in that game or anybody, you have them go into a clean inning, right? Honestly, because yes, you want Max Fried to go in and face a lefty on lefty. He gets him out, and then you take out freaking Max Fried, and then you got Luke Weaver facing a righty on righty matchup. So I get that whole thing. But man, at some point, you got to just say, fuck the analytics, man. And you got to just roll with your best freaking performer on the damn field. It worked for them, with Ahmed Rosario, like the same thing with Ahmed Rosario when he played Game 1. I get it. He hits really well against lefties, and they were facing Garrett Crochet that night. But dude, you put Chaz Chisholm and Ben Rice on your bench, two of your best players on your roster as far as, production offensively. And I truly believe, man, to a certain degree, if you had at least one of those two players in the lineup, I really do believe the Yankees could have taken Game 1 to a certain degree, honestly. That's why and again, it was really given proof in Game 2 to where when you put those two in the lineup, at least for the matchup against Boston, forget Toronto, they were just completely outmatched. But against Boston, you just saw the difference with those two in the lineup. And I think that Aaron Boone, to where, he might fit the system to what Mike said as far as what the Yankees bring to the table. But sometimes, man, I think that what a lot of Yankee fans are very frustrated is to where they just sometimes, when in a certain moment, you just got to just say, just F the analytics and I'm just going to ride or die with my best, performer on the field. And that was Max Fried that night. So, there's ways in baseball to be analytical and go with the numbers tell you. But in the moment, man, if you're pitcher like a Max Fried that's out there just dealing, and he may be over 100 pitches, man, over 100 pitches. I'm sorry, dude, you have to leave him in the freaking game. So those are things that, may be somewhat frustrating to Yankees fans. But, like Mike said, I think that the Yankees as a franchise are very content. They're relevant. They're in the postseason every year. And until that changes, I don't think Brian Cashman's going anywhere. I don't think Aaron Boone is honestly going anywhere. I truly don't. but time will only tell.
So it's just you just especially being a Yankees fan, man, and being, James, we talk about it in our other podcasts, trying to, as best I can, also being a fair, objective sports fan, right, and just baseball fan. I know the idea of the Yankees because they're the Yankees, and yes, they're worldwide, and the money and the Steinbretters and blah blah blah. They'll never, it's at this point, it's like Disney or whatever. They'll never get away from that image of just like buying everything and blah blah blah, all that. Right? And I get that, and that's fair to some degree, right? But man, like. For me, like when I became a Yankee fan, right? I mean, it was Don Mattingly. I mean, that's it. That's why Don Mattingly, period. And so then watching his career, which was cut a little bit short, like, I mean, they sucked to, maybe we're average, slightly above average, right? And then they didn't get that dynasty until, it was the Jeter, Posada, Mo, Pettit, Williams, and all those guys were drafted, organization guys, right? And then they went out and filled those, at least, especially the early years, right, with like Paul O'Neill and Scott Brocious and the fucking Darryl Strawberry, who had a resurgence at the end of his career, and things like that, right? And you look around baseball and like, right, who's left standing now, right? I mean, Toronto Blue Jays, you go over the National League, Chicago Cubs, shit like that, and that's a World Series caliber team, right? It really wasn't until, and you can even go back to when they were, I mean, shit, the days of, Gehrig and Berra and all that shit. Yeah, those were, not free agency wasn't a thing back there. Those were just Yankees. Mm-hmm. And maybe Reggie Jackson you can point to as like, a guy back then. But other than that, that's really it. It's only those, that like late 90s to that mid 2000s when they started going after the fucking Randy Johnson past his prime, or Kevin Brown, or name insert superstar Hall of Famer maybe, but 2, 3, 4 years past their prime. And so that became a narrative of like, oh, they just buy everything or whatever. But if you really take a step back and look at it, man, that when they were winning and they were great in the dynasty, that was own shit, man, and I wish they could get back to that, but it seems like I just talked about with this past postseason, the Max Fried, the Carlos Rodon, Stanton, like fuck, we're right back there where, yeah, these guys are older, injured, and you're paying them fucking $30 million a year, and yeah, it's one of those things where even as a fan, man, like. You're not gonna win that way, and I don't know. In a way, should you win that way? I guess. Mm-hmm. But I know it's a business. It is what it is, and that's what it is going to be. But I hope y'all. I mean, does that make sense to y'all? Y'all.
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna ramble again, but
no, it's not. Yeah. I hear you absolutely. So no, very good takes, man. Both of y'all very good takes as far as the Yankees is concerned. But let us get into some picks, man. So we got some picks as far as the rest of the divisional series, and we'll also make some predictions as far as both the AL and NLCS. But before we do that, man, I got to hit the freaking music, man. Yes. So these are our picks for the rest of the divisional series. We'll go over those games, and then we'll make some predictions for both the AL and NLCS. So, Mike, as our special guest, I'm going to let you start, man, with the Detroit Tigers and the Seattle Mariners. This is Game 5, which is going on as of this recording right now. I don't know what's going on, as none of us really know. So, Mike, man, your predictions as far as the Detroit Tigers and the Mariners, as well as for the National League, as well as for the Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers, my man. Take it away.
I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that Scooble's pitching a gem right now, and thinking that if he's not, then it's going to look foolish. But if the Tigers should get themselves into the ALCS to play the Blue Jays, and then the Cubs are hot. They won the last 2 games, and Milwaukee's known in the last few years of not being able to perform in the postseason. I'll roll with the Cubs on the National League side of things too.
Very nice. Short and sweet, to the point. Brian, what are your predictions, man, for the rest of this divisional series? Take it away.
Yeah, not knowing what's going on, but you got to assume Scooble's going to dominate and be Scooble. I mean, it's hard to pick against him, but I'm riding with Seattle somehow, some way, man. I'm hoping Seattle pulls it out, man. So I'm going with Seattle on that one. And I mean, the Milwaukee and Chicago. I mean, I feel like this is going to be a bullpen type game, you know. It's in Milwaukee. I'm going with Milwaukee until you know they were the best team. Until somebody knocks them off, I'm going to go with Milwaukee. I know I'm going to eat my words because Chicago is kind of hot. I know I'm going to eat that one, man.
Right. Yeah. All right, man. So for me, man, so we got the Tigers and the Mariners. I'm just going to say straight up, I'm going with the Mariners. I get it, Schoolball. He might be throwing a gem as of right now, but I just think the Mariners are just better. I just think they're flat out better team. I think they have a better roster. Kyle Riley, we all know how freaking historic he is. He's as far as the season that he's having. They're at home, and this is a team to where, yeah, they haven't been around in the postseason since 2001, if we're speaking facts, but this is a damn good team. And the Detroit Tigers have also shown you by the end of the regular season how vulnerable they are if they're not really clicking as a team. But it wouldn't shock me because of Schoolball and them getting to that, you know, ALCS. But I think the Mariners have enough star power. They have enough talent offensively to get past Detroit. And then you got the Chicago Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers. Oh, the Milwaukee Brewers, man. Listen, I'll give credit where credit is due. The Milwaukee Brewers for this entire regular season, this entire baseball season, have been arguably the best team in baseball, at least in the National League. But eventually, the Milwaukee Brewers are going to do what they always usually do, which is fuck up. However, it's not going to be this game. I do think Milwaukee will surpass Chicago. It's going to be a nail-biter. It's going to be a shootout. But Milwaukee, I will respect the fact of what they did in the regular season, and I think it's going to at least transition at home. All of these games in this season, or in this series, all of these teams have been winning at home. I think it was Milwaukee took their first 2 games at home, and then, of course, Chicago, they took their games at home. And I think that trend continues. So I'm going with Milwaukee. So Milwaukee going into to face the Dodgers in the National League Championship Series. So now we got the Championship Series. So, Mike, I'm going to send it over to you, man. I'll start off with the NLCS. So you pick the Cubs. So it's Cubs and Dodgers. What are your picks, man? Take it away.
I'll stick with my preseason pick. Again, Dodgers getting to the World Series. They're going to be too much for anybody. They just kind of coasted through the regular season with their injuries, but they just know how to win. The big moment doesn't scare any of them. Ohtani's been a little bit cold in the DS, so he's due for a bit of a hot streak. I think the Dodgers probably win that in 6. I'll give the Cubs a little bit of credit there if that's the matchup in the National League.
Yeah, very nice, man. So we'll get to the American League afterwards. But Brian, National League, man. So you picked Milwaukee, I believe. So what are your takes as far as the National League Championship Series? Take it away.
Yeah. I know I'm gonna eat my words, and it's probably gonna be LA because of the experience and the talent there. And like you said, Milwaukee's just going to run out of gas, but I like rooting for the underdog, and I don't want to see LA back in the World Series, so I'm going to go with Milwaukee, man. Just fucking pull it out, scratch and claw any way they can.
Fair enough, man. And yes, Milwaukee and the Dodgers, again, 2 teams, 2 the top juggernauts as of right now in the National League. So I mentioned about Milwaukee. At some point, their cards are going to show. And against arguably the best team in baseball, they're going to get their doors blown off in this series. I don't think this series is going to be even fucking close. The Dodgers are going to run through this series. Maybe Milwaukee will get a game, but I won't even be shocked if the freaking Dodgers swept them because the Milwaukee Brewers are going to do what they always usually do in the postseason, which I said earlier is fuck up and completely be an absolute disaster in postseason play. So give me the Dodgers going back to the World Series to defend their crown. And then we got the American League. We got the ALCS. Mike, take it away, man, with your pick.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. I think I had the Tigers, Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays, I think, are just a buzzsaw that are going to just make their way to the World Series. They should get Chris Bassett back for the ALCS, I think. Yeah. Whatever they could get out of Max Scherzer, I guess, is a positive. I know he was left off the postseason roster. Yeah. Gausman's very good. I think a Toronto Dodgers World Series is full of star power that Major League Baseball would absolutely eat up. Yes. The fans would eat up, just like last year's World Series. Tons of star power. This one would be outstanding. And having Toronto, Toronto's one of the few teams who could probably keep up with the Dodgers when it comes to pound-for-pound talent on their team. So I'd like to see Toronto and the Dodgers probably making it to the World Series.
Very nice, man. Brian, your pick for the ALCS. Take it away.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna go with Seattle here, man. Toronto and Seattle, I'm picking that for the ALCS. And man, I hope and really do expect that is a series that's going to go 7 games, man. Or at least I hope, because that really could be a great series. But I'm going to take Seattle, ride with them. But also, again, like you had just mentioned, man, I mean, the matchup, for star power, obviously, is the LA Toronto. And, man, I'd love to see Vladdy in the World Series for sure. But for this year, man, I'm going Milwaukee and Seattle. And also, a quick question for either one of you: Is Bichette, is he going to be back for the series? Any of y'all know, or is he out?
Not sure. He was off the postseason roster with Scherzer in the last series, so I'm not sure as far as Bichette is concerned. So who knows? But he'll definitely be an interesting factor.
Huge too, man. I mean, he led the league in hits, man. I mean, that's
absolutely. All right, as far as my pick is concerned, so this would be Seattle and Toronto. This, no doubt, will be a shootout. I really love both of these teams. They're really, really fun to watch. Obviously, we talked about Kyle Raleigh in the season that he's having, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in the series that he had against the Yankees. This is tough, man, because I'm all for teams to where they haven't made it before ever as far as World Series or winning a championship, and definitely Seattle is one of those teams. But Toronto, man, looks really good. If you tell me that I got to choose between Kyle Riley and Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the way I just watched Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hit the cover off the ball and freaking sent the Yankees to Cancun the way he did, I'm taking Vladimir Guerrero Jr. If he performs like that, I don't see anybody beating this Toronto Blue Jays team. It's going to be close. It can go either way, but it will be a shootout. But I'm going with the best player, arguably, that's going to perform in this series. He may not be the best player in this series. That's probably Kyle Riley because the season that he's had. But the best player that's going to perform on this series, it's going to be Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And he's going to take Toronto to the World Series to go up against the juggernaut, which is the LA Dodgers. So, and I'm going to say 7 games. I think it's either going to go 6 or 7 games, and I think Toronto will do enough. I think Vladimir Guerrero Jr., George Springer, all of those guys will do enough to surpass Seattle as far as what they have is in store as far as that is concerned. So give me both the Dodgers and the Toronto Blue Jays in the World Series for this season. And those are our Major League Baseball picks for this postseason. And now we get to the football side of things. This is our NFL picks for week number 6. Once again, ladies in the truck, hit the damn music, please. I love it. I just love that freaking jingle. It never gets old at all. So yes, this is week number 6 in the NFL. It was really rough for me last week. 0-3. I was 9-3. I go 0-3 last week, and now I'm just 9-6. So at least I'm due. I'm due for a good week this week. So I'm 9-6. Brian is sitting at 8-5-1. Of course, that tie came from the Green Bay Packers and Dallas game just a couple weeks ago. So Mike will be joining us as far as these picks is concerned. So before me and Brian get to our picks, Mike, I'm going to let you start, man, as our guest. What are your picks, man, as far as week 6 in the National Football League? Take it away.
Unfortunately, I do apologize. I will have to make my way to London and I don't see a way how the Jets could compete with Denver this coming Sunday. This is no spread, correct?
No spread. Yeah.
No spread.
If you want the spread, Denver is -6.5. If you want a spread, as I do have it. So yeah.
Denver's defense is just too good. Unless the Jets find some sort of magic in another continent, I don't understand how they will be able to compete with the Denver Broncos. So the first game, I will take Denver against the Jets. The second game, I think the Cardinals are going to rally around the Gannon punching DeMarcado, the running back, in the stomach over the weekend. And I think the Cardinals catch the Colts on a bad week. The Colts are riding high, 4-1. Yeah. One of the best teams in football. Right. But I think the players only meeting, the team meeting, the coaches meeting, everything the Cardinals are surrounding right now, depending on if Kyler Murray plays, which I think he is. I think Kyler Murray and the Cardinals rip off the Colts this week. And then again, to give me Dallas going against Carolina. I think Carolina's horrible, terrible. Even if CeeDee Lamb doesn't play, Dallas's offense should still be enough to beat Carolina. So Dallas, Denver, and Arizona.
Very nice, man. Very nice. Brian, your picks, man, for this week. Take it away, my brother.
Well, so, since you gave me our record, man, and now, I mean, we're right there neck and neck, man, as I knew we would be, man, so now it's, we got to start getting serious, but also, man, I really don't like picking the gimme games, and so I'm looking at some, man, there's a lot of really good matchups this week, but my first one, man, I'm going Lions Chiefs. I'm taking Detroit over KC. Fucking y'all know why. But no, really, I do love Detroit. I think they are a contender. I love their, Montgomery and Gibbs, the two running backs. Of course, St. Brown. And God damn it, just somebody beat the Chiefs for shit's sake, man. Somebody. So come on, Lions. My second game, I'm gonna go one. I think kind of. Well, shit. I don't know that it is a gimme game. Did you say is the Broncos Giants game? Is that the London game?
Broncos Jets. Yep, that's the London game.
Broncos Jets.
Broncos Jets.
Okay, it's the Jets. Fuck. I'm gonna take the Broncos in that one. Sorry, James, but I'm gonna follow that up with man.
Oh, don't be sorry. I know how putrid they are. Do not be sorry at all.
No.
Yeah.
No, because I'm going to follow that up with, man, I'm taking the Rams over the Ravens. I don't care if they're at home. Ravens, shit. So, yeah, I'm going Lions, Broncos, and Rams. Those are my three picks.
All right. Very, very nice. So, like I said, I'm due for a good week, being 0-3 last week. Man, you know what? I'm going to start with Seattle and Jacksonville. As Seattle is -1.5 this game. They really want you to take Jacksonville in this game. However, the Seattle Seahawks are 9-1 on the road with this new head coach. 9-1. Yeah. And as good as Jacksonville is, man, Seattle, man, I can't go against that stat. And I do like what Seattle is doing. I like this new head coach. And yeah, they looked good last week against Kansas City. And, who knows as far as what happened at the end of the freaking game when Trevor Lawrence trips underneath his own feet and there's no freaking anybody. Chris Jones is just standing there like a statue just watching freaking Trevor Lawrence walk into the end zone. But for this, man, as far as analytically, man, I'm going to go what the analytics tell me, and that's that the Seattle Seahawks are really good on the road. Yes, Jacksonville's 4-1. So far, they've looked pretty solid, but I don't trust it. I don't know. I just don't trust it. I really don't. I'm taking Seattle on the road. Like I said, Seattle's -1.5. This will be a close game. This will be a shootout, no question. It'll be very fun to watch. But I'm gonna go with Seattle, who seems to be a really good road team under this new head coach, as well as with Sam Darnold this season. So give me the Seattle Seahawks over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Game number two, I'm going to Monday Night Football with the Commanders and the Chicago Bears, and I'm going with the Commanders, man. Jaden Daniels is back, and he's about to run amok in this league, man. The Commanders have missed him dearly, and when he's on that field, the Commanders can freaking go up against anybody. And you're going up against a Bears team to where I don't know what they are. I really, truly don't. I really listen, Caleb Williams, is he good? Is he not? I really don't know. But what I do know is that when Jaden Daniels is on the field, the Commanders are really damn good and they can compete with anybody. The Commanders are -4.5 in this game. They're at home. I think this is pretty simple. I'm going with the Commanders over the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football. That's three straight weeks now I've picked Monday Night Football games. I think that's just also funny. And then finally, game number 3. Game number 3, I'm going to Tampa Bay, which we have the San Francisco 49ers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I'll admit it. I said it a couple weeks ago. I was very skeptical about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I didn't know how good they truly were. I really like me some Baker Mayfield. I wish he was a New York Jet right now when he was freaking available during that time. And freaking Kyle Shanahan, I don't know what he does, but this dude is just straight up quarterback whisperer for how freaking Mac Jones has performed. People like Brock Purdy, all of these guys that come into the system. Kyle Shanahan finds a way to just to really work with these guys so well and to just make them just competent to a certain degree. However, man, Tampa Bay, are they going to win a Super Bowl? Debatable. Are they going to make the playoffs? It looks like. Are they the best team in the NFL? Not really. But you know what they do? They find a way to win football games, man. Every which way outside of that Philadelphia game. They did it against the Jets. They did it against Seattle last week. And they did it against Atlanta. Baker Mayfield, who is arguably going to be the best player on the field. And once again, whoever the best player is on the field, I'm going to ride with it. And right now, Baker Mayfield, who has an argument to win the MVP this year, this dude finds ways to win football games. This dude has got the attitude, he's got the charisma, and he just gets the fucking job done. And my apologies, Tampa Bay. Y'all are pretty damn solid. And so for you being at home against the Niners, this will also be a shootout. This is going to be a really good game. But for this week, Tampa Bay, I'm going to trust y'all. I'm going to trust y'all in the clutch gene that you seem to have. Y'all are going to get the job done. Y'all at home. Tampa Bay's -3.5 in this game. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will continue this ride and will go into 5-1 and defeat the San Francisco 49ers. So those are my picks. Give me Seattle over Jacksonville. Give me the Commanders over the Bears. And game number 3, give me the Buccaneers over the San Francisco 49ers. And those are our picks for week number 6 in the National Football League, man. Man, what an episode. This was amazing. Mike, I want to thank you, man, once again for joining us, man. This was such a great time. Again, our very first guest since us making sports content on this platform. So once again, Mike, thank you so much for joining us. Again, if you guys want to check out more of Mike's content as far as his social media, as well as his podcast, all of that will be in the description box down below for you guys to go check out Mike, subscribe to his channel, check out his content. But once again, Mike, thank you guys so much. And again, definitely check out his content. Not only is he a great content creator, but also a great dude as well. And of course, you see the banner down below. Make sure you guys follow the Sports Corner, our Sports Corner addition to our platform. That is Ruthless_Sports Corner. Yes, we are now available on TikTok. It is same thing as our Instagram. It is Ruthless_Sports Corner. Again, you guys can check us out on all of our podcasts, which we are available on YouTube, as well as Spotify, and as well as Apple Podcasts. So we'll see where the chips fall as far as sports this week. We got more baseball to talk about. Basketball is going to be coming up very shortly. Hockey just started. College football. Again, we also post some college football content as well. So make sure you guys also check out our social medias for that as well. And much more crazy shit to talk about in the sports world to come. Mike, Brian, Mike, I'll start with you, man. Any final thoughts?
No, I just want to thank you guys a lot. It was a lot of fun. It's like an hour and something, but it doesn't feel like it. We just kept going on. It was a good time, man. You guys are really good guys. Keep up the amazing work you guys are doing. I love the setup, and I love all the stuff you guys are doing right now.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, man. Brian, any final thoughts, man, before we end the show?
Yeah, back at you, Mike, man. Thanks for coming on, man. Definitely looking forward to checking out your content. And, just thank you for coming on and being part of our show, man. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. And once again, check out his content in the description box down below. And of course, stay tuned for much more content to come. And for our next episode next Friday for more football, baseball, and more craziness in the sports world. But that is going to do it for today's episode, everybody. My name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
And alongside Mike, we are signing off saying salute.
Peace out.
And take care, everybody. Top guys, we are out.
Out.